We got a new guest, exciting guest.
Very exciting.
Very exciting guest. Illustrious guest.
Illustrious, notorious.
Fellow Hall of Famer, both professional and national.
Nefarious. I don't know what nefarious means.
Can I throw in a dangerous?
Do we need to cut nefarious?
No, nefarious is alright. I'm sure there's times when Doc was nefarious.
I don't even know what it means.
It's like evil.
Oh.
Like sneaky.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's sneaky.
Yeah. The Maryland guy's feeling very uncomfortable.
We got the doctor. The doctor is on call. The doctor's in the house. We're giving the people what they want. They say enough of Mitch Belisle, enough of Ryan Boyle. Give us guests that we actually like to hear from. Give
us the storytellers.
Let's go.
The legends of the game.
Before we jump in, we do have a new sponsor. Beard Consulting Group out of Tennessee, out of Memphis, Tennessee. It was an inbound sponsorship. Jimmy Beard, brother Tommy Beard, partner Andrew Sweat. So loyal listeners and sponsor for this episode. So happy to bring them on board as a sponsor. If anybody out there has a real or fictitious company that they'd like to sponsor, please by all means reach out. So
we've got great deals, great packages,
great offers. So.
I'm creating a fictional company as we speak right now, just so I can jump in and be a sponsor.
Perfect. You can spot the next episode. Great.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just a quick turnaround time over here.
So, Doctor, let's cut to the chase here. We got the Terps. Enough of this pro. Enough of this NLL.
It's tourney time, baby.
PL draft. We got tourney time, baby. And when I think of the tournament, and I really think of the past decade, right? I think unequivocally Maryland is the most dominant program. And I'm not just saying that because you're on this call. I think just in terms of you look at overall consistency in terms of regular season and then what they do in the tournament when it matters most, the program I think of is Maryland.
Well, you said the last decade, but then there's maybe a little lull, but then back to Doc's era again, like a huge surge. But yeah, Maryland is up there and synonymous with one of the all-time greats. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts. I 1,000% agree. I mean, if you look at what John Tillman has done since he's been there, I don't know the exact numbers of how many years. What is it? 12, 14, something like that. His record is off the charts. I think he's at 10 or so Final Four appearances. Those other years, they make the tournament 20-some straight years in a row. He's in the final game. Some years he's undefeated. Some years he's 8-4 going into it, and they make an awesome run. And it's just like the level of consistency. It's just like the same thing. Like you watch Maryland, and you're like shocked when they fail a clear, or if they turn the ball over. Like they're so disciplined, and it's just such a credit because I'm a coach too, and it's so hard to kind of do what he's doing to where they're so consistent year in and year out, week in and week out.
Is there anyone who eats, sleeps, breathes lacrosse more than John Tillman? He is lacrosse. Like he personifies. Like, I mean, can you get more dedicated than that man?
No, it's like, I don't know how he does it, from the recruiting to I'll call him at, 7:30, 8 in the morning is like the best time to get in touch. And we'll talk for like 45 minutes. And then it's like, he's just, then I'll call him at 8 o'clock at night again, like, hey, who are the kids in Philly? Well, who should we be recruiting, or what's going on over there? And it's just like from the whole recruiting to, like I like watching their goalies, and he's the goalie coach at Maryland. So he and I talk a lot about, Logan and, people in the years past of drills they can do. And it's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing the amount of energy and kind of passion that he has for the sport of lacrosse. It's kind of unmatched right now.
To your point, I'm blanking on exactly what it was, but I think it was maybe after the first title that the Terps won under him. And I just shot him just an innocuous, congratulations kind of text message. And surely it was like part of like the 3,000, right, that he got that day. And that's not normally my style, but I was just kind of like, I'm going to shoot it like in the moment. Got back to me that day. It was like what? Like how? Like
I don't know how he finds the time, man. I really don't.
Like I was like I almost like wanted to be like, how are you responding to this? But like bit my tongue and was just like, was just more amazed out of anything else. But to your point, I think like for me, like they win when they're supposed to win, right, Doc? And then I think like some of the criticism is like not winning certain games, whereas I'm always like for example, last year the national championship was like, how did you even get there? Just to get that far.
What an awesome run that was, right? Who'd they beat? Duke, Virginia, and
we don't even go through all their wins last year. So
did they beat Princeton? I think they beat Princeton.
That was last year. Don't talk about it.
They're going to have to do it again, potentially in the Final Four this year.
Before we get to this year's squad, Doc, I want to go back a little trip down memory lane. When you think about some of the magical runs that you went on, with Maryland in the tournament, what are some of the first memories that come to mind as you would as a Terp and in cage and in those big moments in those big games?
I mean, definitely the year for me was 1995. That was my junior year. My first 2 years, we were good. We had like 6 losses, made the tournament. I think we lost in like the first round. And, something happened my junior year. We just had great leadership with Dan Radeball and Greg Nealon as our captains. And, that year we added Kip Folks, which is desperately needed. Scotty Marr came on as our offensive coordinator. So there was just like a different vibe that year. So that's the year I remember the most. It's like really kind of turning into like, hey, we can beat all these really good teams. And we just never had that feeling my first 2 years. So 95 was amazing, going against Hopkins at Bird.
Yep.
They were undefeated. Everybody's talking about how they're the greatest team in the history of the sport. They had Pecola and Reardon, two the number 1 and number 2 all-time leading scorers for Hopkins. And we just kind of came out and I'll never forget it. It was like the day before the game, and like we had practiced all week, and like there was like tensions, like Scotty warmed me up and he hit me below the belt, and just a random bounce shot, and I kind of lost. I threw the ball at him. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Shooting on me on purpose, like there was just like a lot of tension. Like this was on Friday, so on Saturday or the day before, on the Final Four, we don't have practice. Big man takes us. The Coach Adele takes us to the zoo. The Washington, D.C. zoo. So, like, we go out, and it's like, Hopkins is out there, and they're practicing on Bird Stadium. It's like, you have to throw the ball there. They're going over the whole game plan, and this is what we're going to do. And we're on a bus to the zoo, getting in, we had a bunch of just very, very awesome people there. So we're getting in trouble and obviously breaking tons of rules at the zoo, feeding all the animals and doing everything you probably shouldn't be doing. But we were just kind of relaxed, and it was just and then we came out and played our best game of the year. We won 16-8, and I don't think it was really even that close. And then, losing to Cuse in the finals was a bummer. We kind of had them at halftime in the first half, and they just kind of opened it up. Their D was really strong that year with Rick Beardsley and Hans Schmidt and all those guys. And so that year for me, 95, was really like a special year. It was an awesome run. We had never really made it that far, and I don't know. That's something I'll never forget. Definitely.
I'm gonna pump your tire simultaneously, age you a bit. So just take
one tire.
Pump all.
He's unicycling.
Is it pumping your tires?
Tires, yeah, all the tires.
Oh, I'm gonna pump your tires, and age you a bit. I was in the stands for that game against Hopkins. I was at Bird. I don't know if we're allowed to use that name anymore. And I was sitting behind you, behind the goal. The Bird went like this, and then the stands. And I was in the stands for that game. It's the single greatest goalie performance I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm a youngster. I'm probably like in middle school. And I'm like, holy hell. It was just like, they couldn't solve Doc, right?
Did you have that baiting style?
That's where I'm getting. That's where I'm getting. So I'm sitting with like a bunch of my buddies. And there's like a couple dads like within shouting distance or within earshot, and the dad is like, Hopkins shoots and Doc does what Doc does. He's like baiting, mind games, turning the game into like a rock paper scissors, and the guy's like, yeah. So what the goalie does is every time they shoot, he leaves a part of the goal open and then moves, but then his stick is still there. And the dad's like mind is like exploding. Doc's like just completely flummoxing. All the shooters, you can see them after they shoot, are just like pulling their hair out, And I'm like this youngster, and I'm like, what is he doing? Like I've never heard of this. I've never seen this. I've never been introduced to the concept of it. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? And like, meanwhile, I'm thinking it, and the Hopkins guys are living it. And they're like, we don't know what to do. At what point of that game where like the mastermind that you are, you're like, I've got them in the palm of my hands. Like I'm in their head. They have no idea. Like
I can tell you the exact moment.
Yeah.
You want to know the exact moment? Yeah. You're gonna love this, RB, because you know me more than anybody else. I knew that. I would say with 3 minutes left to go in warm-ups, all right, before the game actually starts. So we're done our warm-ups, and I'm just kind of looking down there, and Picola's on the right side, and Reardon's on the left side. They got somebody feeding them a bunch of balls, and they're just working on their shots from their wings. And I'm being a lefty, I'm just different, right? So Picola's used to shooting it far. Reardon's used to shooting it far as well as the off-stick side, and now they're all trying to bring it to the near side. So I literally watched them shoot like 20 times in a row, and they're all doing there. So I'm even making it worse, right? I'm giving them the near side like that, and then jumping to the near side. So in answer to your question, about 3 minutes before the game started, I knew that would be completely inside of their heads.
That is a goalie mentality right there. That's nefarious. That's nefarious.
That's very sneaky.
Did anyone teach you that style, or did you kind of use that
I made
yourself?
it up. It made sense to me. I always had a hard time of it was like, listen, I'm the goalie. I was a pretty good athlete. And this was before dudes were really bringing it, like 120 like they are now. So, you still had a little bit of a chance back in there. And to me, the hardest part was they know where they're going to shoot and I don't know, and then I'm like, whoa. And then it just clicked. And I'm like, whoa. If I just line up like this, right? And give up all that. Now I know where they're shooting, right? So then it just, I started in practice and started doing that. And it was kind of my style right from freshman year. It was, I'm a Philly. I didn't start playing goalie until 8th grade. Nobody was really teaching me, the ins and the outs of everything. So it was something that I created. And then, you started fine-tuning it where I'm only doing it on this alley and I'm doing it more on this alley versus a righty versus a lefty, and sometimes on one-on-ones, I'll just drop to my knees, right? And the guy's just like, what are you doing? And then, I got my stick right there. I did that to Ned Crotty in the USA that one practice, and I've never seen him. His whole face he was befuddled. He just didn't know what to do. He just shot it right there, and I just caught it, So it's just, and it was fun because I always felt like as the goalie, right, I'm just the target.
Yeah.
Right. But now I'm always playing defense. I'm just getting hit in the shin and the arm and it just sucks, So I just now this is fun, now instead of, now, and then you throw the little bit of smack talking or chirping as the kids call it these days on top of the baiting. Right. And then you're really inside guys' heads. And that's kind of where I wanted to be. Right. The more you're thinking about me, the less you're thinking about where you should be shooting, or clearly you shouldn't be thinking where you're shooting.
Right.
Is the answer to
that's the problem, right?
Big picture.
Exactly
you get right into it where you have that split second where you're like, well, I got to shoot at the open net. But then you're like, but he's giving me that, so I probably should shoot where he was. And then by then it's too late.
And you're going to get one or two, but it's, I like to play the long game, over the course of 4 quarters, right? I felt like the averages and the statistics would go my way, and they did more than they didn't.
You sure did.
All right, let's talk about what's going to go down in College Park. You guys are playing the winner of Robert Morris Air Force. That game's tonight at 5. Will you be tuning in?
Tonight at 5, my young son Connor Dougherty has a game at 6:15 tonight. So no, I will not be tuning in. I feel pretty comfortable that whoever is fortunate enough to win this game, Air Force or Bobby Moe, then I feel the Terps will be fine in College Park for their first round game. I don't know much about either of the teams, but, I feel pretty comfortable with those. It's just so hard for those, playing games to beat a 1 or a 2 seed. It's just, we've never seen it though. So who knows, all of a sudden Mount St. Mary's beat somebody in hoops a couple of years ago, a 16 seed beat a 1. We never saw that either, so who knows? But I will not be tuning in, but I will be tuning in on Sunday at 2:30.
Let's talk about your squad then, instead of the opponent, and I think you got to start in cage, right? McNaney, the first goalie drafted last night in the PLL draft, most outstanding player a couple of years ago, obviously a little bit undersized, but doesn't affect him at all. I think what really stands out when I watch him play is just how like steady he is.
Big
right?
moments too. He steps up in big moments.
It never seems rattled, never seems kind of off tilt, like just kind of always seems in the right position, the right mindset. Kind of starting as most Maryland teams do from the back and then going towards the offense. What impresses you most about McNaney and Cage and just their squad overall?
Well, I think you nailed it. First, he is 29 years old, so I think it's his 12th year at Maryland. But obviously, I'm just kidding. But it feels like a doctor there.
He's also a doctor. He might be a doctor as well.
But yeah, so I think you hit it right on the head. As far as his compete level, right? He's always emotionally, he's very steady, right? He doesn't get up, he doesn't get down. He is even keel the whole time, which is rock solid as a goalie. And then his movements in the goal, I call it, he's so quiet, right? Like there's no wasted movements. He's very locked in. Very opposite of me, where I'm moving all around before there, and that was my style. Like he is just, dialed in for everything, and when the shot comes, he's on it, and he's exploding to the ball, extremely efficient. There's no wasted movements to him, and I don't know how tall he is. 5'9". Is that like?
They listed him at 5'10".
Is that a generous?
They listed him at 5'10" last night, and Kark was like, "There's no chance. There's no shot." And we were like, "Yeah, that's fine. That's like a high school football. That's a high school football height
give
right
a few
there.
inches.
That's a high school. That's a high school football height right there."
But he doesn't give up. A ton of the goal, like a lot of guys that are that not that tall, right? When you see a goal, it's always very visual. If you see a bunch of the net, right, that's always better for the shooter. And you feel like, even though he kind of has his size, I don't feel like there's wide open areas of the goal to shoot at. So he does a good job kind of like standing upright and not like hunching down, which would really, I would think, make that. But he's just the leader of the team. He's the number one, right? They don't just hand that thing out there. And, so he impresses me. Their offense is just always, like, who are these guys, right? Like, it's like 45, 10, 24. It's like they just keep bringing these robots out that drive the alley, draw doubles, get it to X, and then they do it like 6 more times within the possession, and then all of a sudden they're just shooting layups. So it's like their system's phenomenal. And then the Terps have kind of always had their backbone ever since I was there, and even before me on the DN. There's always just flat out animals down there. Guys, we call them foxhole guys, right? Guys that you want in your foxhole. Guys that Larkin and Schaller and Burlace and McDonald and all those guys down there. They're just so steady. I really like Larkin and Will Schaller have really been stepping it up for me. Schaller's covering everybody's number one guy, and he's pretty much dominating that matchup almost every game. So, and then you throw in the fact that they have such a unique system too, right? They're always sliding, right? They're never recovering and don't know what to do for like more than like a half a second. Like they always know exactly, like, dudes are coming here, taking him, and then they're filling to the backside, or they're, the way that they recover is amazing. So their capabilities 101, right? Their attitudes and their just physicality, and then their system, both offense and defense. It's just a real credit to Tills and Jesse Bernhardt and all those guys. It's fun to watch, and it gives them a chance to win every single game.
Streebs and I Streebs loves this line, but I think I said it in like a coach's clinic. But on defense, your job is never done. Your role just changes, and that's like exactly what they do. They always know what their next role is going to be, and so they slide, they recover, they're ready to slide again. They slide, recover, get back. Yeah, and it's defensively, like, as a defensive guy, when you see it in action, it's smooth. You're like, oh man, it's like a thing of beauty. It's like an orchestra.
It's so like you said, we're D guys. It's just so awesome to watch. It's like a symphony out there. Like guys are just, there's a conductor out there and going like this, and people are just moving around the chessboard perfectly. It's just fun to watch.
And I think what makes them so dangerous, not that they are a low seed. I mean, they're the number 2 seed overall. But you look at the landscape of college lacrosse, and we've kind of talked about this, but like defensively, it's just like, who's playing good defense right now? There's just like so many teams, at least the top, are like really strong at the offensive side, right? Number 1 seed overall. And
when you're scoring 18 goals a game, you can kind of take a little overlook on the defense sometimes.
But to your guys' point, like they're so stout defensively that I think that they're gonna be in every game regardless, because that is their calling card, and they get just enough offense amongst the robots as you called them. Like they don't have that one guy. Like number one, he ain't on offense, right? So it's like you don't have the guys like go get me a bucket.
Yeah, the Rambo or the Joe Walter, yeah.
You know, so I think like that to me is what makes them so dangerous. Is just like you better be ready to execute on offense, because it's going to be tough, and they're going to make you work for it at the other end, and they're just going to wear you down and grind you to the point you're like, okay, fine, like I guess you win, like. Okay, take it.
11-7. We gave it everything we had.
11-7, exactly. Well, we're not going to overlook Bobby Moe or Air Force. However, if the Terps were to win that game, they'd be playing at Navy Marine Corps Stadium against either old ACC foe Duke or Georgetown for a little Battle of the Potomac. I don't know. You guys don't really. Does Maryland Georgetown doesn't seem like there's like a.
It's not really a thing in lacrosse.
I think it would be a long-standing rivalry.
It wasn't basketball back in the day during the Iverson days.
Yeah.
You had the Maryland Georgetown thing, but for some reason, I don't know if they played. They just don't seem to play each other a whole lot. I don't know why. I think they scrimmage each other a lot, but I don't know. I don't know who I like in that one. That one's a tough game. I think Duke has been playing very well. You talk about another good defensive team. Patrick Jamison's my boy. I've taught him how to play goalie as a young 6th, 7th grader, and mentored him throughout the process. And, Georgetown, again, love Kevin Warren, love everything about him. My face-off guy from SCH, my high school, is a freshman there, Ross Prince. So I've been following those guys out a lot. That should be a really good game. But Duke against Carolina, I watched that whole game, and Duke looked like they could beat, any USA team out there. They were phenomenal.
Donowski's another guy that just, knows how to make them peak at the right time, right? It's it doesn't matter what they do for the first half of the season. They're always going to be flying in May.
Yeah. So it's going to be a great game. You're not going to get me to say who I would rather play. You're in the tournament time, you're playing good teams no matter what. So, and the Terps have kind of always had the we'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere mentality. So, should be a good game though. So hopefully the Terps get through, and not rooting for one or the other there, but I'm hoping to be down at Navy for that game. Should be awesome.
And then should we take the next step?
Oh wow, you're going that far.
I'm gonna go.
Let's go.
There.
I'm ready.
We got Tiger, Princeton versus Towson. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pull for the Ivy League here and go for Princeton. And then you got Cuse and Harvard, which I don't see Harvard upsetting Cuse again, especially the way Cuse is playing. So to me, that brings us down to Princeton or Syracuse. Syracuse, your junior year, you talked about that would be a rematch or a look back there, and then obviously you guys have had your battles with Princeton, so all those paths.
I tell you what, I still think Princeton's going to win. I love their team, and it's nothing against Princeton. It's just Nads and I know Nads, and there's just something about Towson when it comes to that first round game that they can, he can whip them up into a frenzy, and they can go out there and that's a scary little matchup that nobody's really talking about. At the same time, Princeton's definitely the favorite and probably should move forward. But, I don't think any way Harvard I don't know. You can't be rolling into the Dome facing off at 30% and being at 46% in the goal. I don't know if that's a good recipe for winning up there. So, Cuse Princeton.
Old school.
That is old school, and it's I feel like Cuse is two different teams, right? Cuse in the Dome, I feel, they got their Superman cape, they're drinking their Gatorades, they're eating their Wheaties. They're like superheroes, and then you go outside, and God forbid there's some weather or something like that. I just feel like there's just a completely different team. So that should be a great thing. I love Princeton's offense. Those guys are nasty out there.
Jerry Byrne needs to go and peel some holes in the roof of the Dome. Is what you're saying?
Get it leaking out there, maybe in the Dome, or maybe just flood it like Bull Durham where they wanted the rain delay. Right? You just go out there and wet the field down.
We need is a rain out.
I can get us a rain out.
Man, there ain't been a cloud in the sky in weeks. $100 says I get us a rain up for tomorrow.
You're on. Hey, I ain't paying for this. Smash, pay for this.
Shut up, you're gonna wake everybody up. Let the bonus baby pay for it. Whoa, 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 whoa!
Easy, man. Jeez.
Look.
I'm over 16. I'm over 30. Hey, Brad, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness! We got ourselves a natural disaster.
You got to go Cuse, right? Cuse won the ACC, championship, in my opinion. They've been building this for 3 years. It's, it might be their time. So Maryland Cuse in the Final Four would be electrifying. Who do we got after we beat Syracuse? That's who's in the finals.
I don't think I've got, I don't got any dogs in the I don't have any dogs in the fight here, but I would hope to see a rematch from a few years back in the national championship. That would be That would be a great battle again.
That would be an awesome.
You guys could do it. If that happens, you two could do it without me. I'm not joining that.
But that would be awesome conflict in styles, right? Great offense versus great defense, and Schaller cursed, and a couple guys down there. That would be.
You could have had the same thing in the semifinal.
Well, this is perfect timing because look who we got joining us here. We're going triple screen as Greg Bice. Greg Bice might have something to say about me sending Cornell directly to the championship game because his Ohio State boys are playing
what's up,
pretty
man?
well.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Another day in paradise down here in God's country, PA.
Love that. You're looking great, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Boyle, Belisle, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, great timing. We were just kind of wrapping up our Maryland talk in the bottom half of the bracket.
They're wrapping up a Cornell-Maryland final, just so you know, just so I can, just...
You and RB have been eliminated already.
I was about to say, when do I get to go on my rant about how the Buckeyes should be number 2 and Maryland should be number 4?
Oh, let's do it right now. Let's do it right now.
Let's go.
Who's on the committee? I need to know this. What is going on? What a travesty for the Buckeyes. And I think, I'll make my case here real quick. Obviously, Maryland's a great team, had a great season. And
buttering you up, Doc.
What's that?
I say you're buttering Doc up here before you come in with the hammer.
I'm just kidding.
However,
here comes the butt. Here comes the second half of this. And if you look at Maryland, obviously, they play the same schedule in Big Ten. Obviously, Ohio State has the last win over the Terps. The Terps lost to Rutgers and to the team up north, to Michigan. Ohio State beat both of those teams. So you look at head-to-heads, it's like, I don't even know what world we're living in where Ohio State has a 4 seed and opens up with Notre Dame, and nothing against like everybody else and who their opponents are, but the Buckeyes are ready. Listen, the Buckeyes are ready. Let me throw that in there.
Sounds like you're.
Well, what's the point?
I sound a little scared.
No. Buckeyes don't get scared. You know that. It's like it's the equivalent of being a hard shell in Terp territory. And I know you're a hard shell, Okay,
Yes.
Buckeyes don't get scared. Buckeyes are ready to go. They're fired up. But I think, to my point,
You're angry. You're angry.
I'm not angry.
Is it the strength of schedule
confused.
factor? Is it the out of conference games that did it? It had to be, right? It had to be the non-conference games. Was the strength of schedule? I mean, it's the only thing that could have done it, right?
Or geography, or basically the committee is saying we care more about geography than we care about how you actually perform.
There's some old GWLL merch that needs to get schlepped out for this Notre Dame OSU game.
Yes, I OSU should be number 2. Travesty that they're not, and I'll die on that hill all day.
Well, I disagree. I think Maryland should be number 2.
Well, they are.
And I have no problem with Ohio State being 4, but I do feel your pain. They should not be playing Notre Dame in the first round. You know, like that whole geography thing, I don't get. You know, like we could save money on the flights, right? Air Force could just fly themselves to the game. Right? So that takes out. We'll just throw that on the government, right? That's one less flight that Air Force has to do, right? And then we can fly Towson up there or whoever should be, you know, the rightful Colgate, you know, like if you're doing it, no offense to Colgate, you know, but if you're doing it there.
We don't have a Colgate guest coming on, so you're
saying.
Yeah, on this show.
But I mean, like if you look at, let's take that example. That's a great point there, Doc. And I am all for the Air Force flying themselves all around the country.
They should never have. We should never pay for one flight for the Air Force. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, our tax dollars, I would love to spend them to send Air Force, you know, to wherever you want to send them to. So, but I mean, like, is Colgate at 10-7, you know, playing the 5 seed? Are we saying that Colgate is that you know that Ohio State has to play an 8-4 like who's better, Notre Dame at 8-4 or Colgate at 10-7?
Yeah.
I think clearly Notre Dame.
On that one, but.
No, clearly. Again, with all due respect to Colgate and whoever your Colgate guest might be coming on tomorrow or whatever you have them. But, you know, it's the one thing that kind of sucks about this, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're aligned. Notre Dame should not be playing against OSU, but we'll bid Brian Dougherty, unless you want to stick around, but we'll bid you adieu for the bottom half of the bracket, and we'll welcome in Greg Bice.
Thanks, Doc.
Thanks so much,
Love
Doc.
you, Doc.
Good luck.
Love you guys. Thanks for having me, man. Good luck to the Buckeyes. And
yeah, good luck to the Terps.
All right, and the Big Red. Let's go. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks.
No. We're not wishing luck to the Ivy Leagues, Doc. Come on, state school. Let's go, baby.
All right, screw the Ivy League. Let's go.
There we go.
Cornell is basically a state school, so
we're gonna be working for you guys later in life. At least you can give us as the Final Four appearance. You know, in the moment right now. Let's go.
Agree.
Oh,
all right, boys. Enjoy.
Right. Thanks, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
Doc.
Well,
you
came in hot, Bice, and it was perfect. It was a perfect entrance. Kicked the door down, ready to go, just fighting for that number 2 or number 3 seed. But without further ado, we got to introduce you, Greg Bice, 2-time All-American at The Ohio State University. What else you got? You were a 13-year veteran in the MLL, LA Riptide member, fellow LA Riptide member. Unfortunately, runner-up to RB in the barrage in that ill-fated championship game.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but
I did.
Yeah.
And we were teammates our rookie year.
That's right.
Yes, it's
Former
true.
barrager.
Yeah. I was like, this guy's...
What were you guys? The barragers?
Just barrage.
Just the barrage.
It's an implied plural.
Got it.
And I was like, this guy's really good. Like, why we're not playing him? Like, what's going on here? Like, every practice, I was like, he's amazing. What's going on here?
Who else was the defense on that team?
It was all older guys.
Spolina?
It was older guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I lose you there for a second, guys? Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, we're just talking about the barrage days when you.
I was going to say, Boyle, you know I'm going to sneak this in here, but the biggest hit of my career.
We've already gone over this.
This
is round 2 from COVID days.
Anytime you guys allow me to come be a part of this podcast, please. That's the only intro that I want. Decleated Ryan Boyle. Ryan Boyle makes the best backdoor cut of his career, wide open. I don't think so.
We're gonna have to get that video, Andrew.
And just to be clear, it wasn't decleating. My soul left my body.
Desoling.
It was a desoler. It was a desoler, and then my soul was up in the ether.
It's like the cartoon where your body's still cutting, your soul's still cutting.
Yeah,
your body is down.
And then it was like the movie Soul. Like my soul was gone and then came back. Yeah, it wasn't just a decleater. But yeah, it's an all-time.
You know what
it's an all-time.
You know what? You know what I've realized? Number one, boy, you are one of the toughest guys to ever play the game, and obviously I got you good on that one. But you're also one of the smartest. And one of the things that I realized is you intentionally stayed down to kill our fast break, which is IQ level 100. Just
No, that was near paralyzation, actually.
I would love to take credit for that, but I think I was like, I can't breathe. I don't have a soul. I don't know where my limbs are.
Oh, man. Who threw it? It was Roy that threw the pass. I mean, Roy is...
Yeah, I mean, the full backstory was like, I teed up Roy, and I was like, hey, this guy's overplaying me. I'm going to backdoor him. Whatever you do, just give a look inside before you throw it. Just give a look, and...
He didn't. When you see a player, like, look, and then be like, oh, I'm going to throw it there, but let me, like, look away real quick. And, like, that's what Roy did. Roy, like, saw you and then was like, oh, I'm throwing it, and did, like, the no look. I'm like, oh, I know.
The fake no look.
Looked to the bench. Looked to, like, the water jug.
The fake no look that never works. You're always like, yeah, I know you're trying to fake this.
Yeah. So, anyways, but you are obviously extremely tough and smart. So.
Well, you going back, kind of coming full circle, you led the OSU team to their first two NCAA tournament appearances. Tell us about that feeling. Was it 03 and 04, if I'm not mistaken?
03 and 04, you got it, Mitch. Obviously, Ohio State, where it was, in terms of, we were the first recruiting class in 1999 to get scholarships. And so, obviously, I wasn't smart enough to get into an Ivy League school like Princeton. I probably could have gotten to Cornell, let's be honest, if Mitch got in. But anyways, it was our first recruiting class. So there's guys like Pat Myers, obviously, who's coaching at Lafayette now. Coach Myers was a volunteer, I think my sophomore year, and then came back my fifth year and was on staff with us, that 04 team. So Coach Myers was there. Anthony Kelly, obviously, was part of that recruiting class, head coach of the Redwoods now, and tremendous longtime pro. And so we were building something there with Coach Bresci, and it was really exciting. You know, we got better every year. And so every year our record got better, and it was the GWLL. So it was Notre Dame, Air Force, Denver, obviously, Fairfield, and us.
Bellarmine in that?
What's that?
Was Bellarmine?
No, they didn't.
Or Butler?
No,
Butler had a team, right?
Butler. Butler was in. And so you got the AQ there, and I was talking about this. How many teams made the tournament, Boyle, when we were playing?
It was definitely less. There was not a Big Ten, right? There
was it 12?
Yeah, it's probably like 12.
I think it was 12.
Large bids.
So you had to win the GWLL to get. You weren't getting an at-large. You had to win to get the conference qualifier, and so we were fortunate enough that we won that in 2003.
That might have been the only AQ, actually.
It might have been.
Yeah, I think it was the only AQ.
We knew we had to win the conference to get in. Yeah. Like that was how we're getting in. And so then my junior year we played Maryland and we lost at Byrd 8-5, and then we played North Carolina and we lost in the first round in 2004. And this is one of those geography things. We thought we were going to get a home game in 2004. I think we ranked like 6th in the country at one point. We thought we were going to get. We played North Carolina the last game of our season, and then we lost. and then they sent us right back down there the next week. And it was just like, it's just like, I don't know. It was what it was. And hats off to North Carolina. They obviously beat us 2 weekends in a row.
Do you remember like the selection show or process that year? Did they do like a show? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I
think there was. Yeah, there was a show.
Yeah. Were you guys like, yeah.
That was Q's won that year. What year did you guys win, Boyle?
01.
01.
Yeah.
Okay.
So looking, I imagine, you looking at the current team and just the program, like you guys were the foundation, right? Like you were a part of setting the standard and reestablishing really what the bar was for the program. Like you don't go from like nothing to national championship like that, right? I think that's like the biggest misnomer. You look at Notre Dame, right? Back-to-back champs. It took them 30 years, right? It was all these like incremental baby steps, like couldn't get over the hump, and then finally like everything came together. I imagine amongst you and specifically those teams, there's an incredible sense of pride and connectivity in terms of seeing how the program has evolved and investment. Obviously, you're still local, like investment in how the team is playing now, given the foundation that you guys set. Is that a fair assessment?
100%, Boyle. And I think Coach Myers has done a really good job of not only leading the actual team, but building up the alumni, encouraging alumni, firing up the alumni. He's done such a great job holistically of the program. And as you guys know, having an active and lively alumni base is critical for any program. And so he's done a great job in our classes. Obviously the 03 and the 04 class we have a special bond and a sense of pride that we were able to be those first tournament teams. And
then for you, even more so with Resolute, right? When we were trading texts, I was like, God, how many of these kids did you coach or played Resolute or now are having success at Ohio State? So you've got like the double connection, right? You've got the kids that you trained, plus you got your own connection. That's got to be pretty cool. And I know whenever we have Trilogy kids that are having success, you just feel that sense of pride. And just to have some small part in it, I got to imagine you feel like you've got a pretty big part in that too.
No, for sure. And I'm going to tell a funny story here about Coach Boyle. I'm going to bring this home here in a second. But obviously, we do have a number of players, obviously being here in the state of Ohio, that go on to play for the Buckeyes. The captain one of the captains of the team right now, Greg Bice, came from our program, went to St. Ignatius up in Cleveland, where Anthony went. And so obviously, we have a number of guys that are on the team. But I think it when one of them, is a captain, I think that there's a different sense of not pride, I don't want to say, but just we feel like we were part of cultivating a young man through our Resolute program that goes on to be a captain at any college program. But obviously we're talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I meet with the guys pretty frequently here, Boyle. And I mentioned to one of them, he's not from our program, but a player on the current team. And he's like, "Oh, Boyle, I don't like that guy." And I said, "Why not? Tell me more. I need to know, because I'm going to bring this." "Boyle, don't worry. It's not bad. You didn't do anything bad." He told me he went to a camp, and he said it was in 8th grade. And he said, there's some kid that plays at Virginia now that was the same class of him that I guess was elite. And he's like, "Boyle started him over me every game." He's like, the kid was way better than me, so he deserved to play. He's like, "But I got a bone to pick with that guy." And I said, "I'm going to make sure that on this podcast, I let him know, but he's like, clearly he was better than me."
Sounds like Ryan made the best coaching choice possible.
It's also like, it's a camp.
You probably won the camp championship. I was just kidding. You kept giving it to the future UVA Cavalier. Just feed the guy.
I still have that trophy above my mantle, the camp championship.
Polishes it every night.
But you know what's so funny? In all seriousness, and I think you guys probably have moments like this as well. But you look at players that that maybe weren't the best player in 8th grade. And weren't the best player in 7th grade, had to overcome, some level of adversity. And I heard you, Belisle, talking about, I don't know where I saw it on one of your podcasts, but you're talking about how you played short stick in the combine. And that, but having a challenging situation, obviously that's not super challenging because you're a great athlete. But, having some adversity, facing some adversity, having a moment where you look around and you go, oh, like maybe I'm not as good as this kid, but I can get better. And having that honest assessment of an athlete. And now, you're playing for the Buckeyes. You're playing in a tournament game and a chance to advance and go to Memorial Weekend. So, I think I would say it was a positive for that player, Ryan, in all seriousness. Yeah. And what's interesting is you find kids that, and players, and people do it in general, that have something like that happen to them and say like, oh no, like Ryan was wrong. Coach was wrong. He should have been playing me. But the kids that you end up seeing that have the long-term success are the ones that are like, you know what, coach was right. Yeah. And I have to get better and I have to improve. And so hopefully that championship trophy was worth it.
Well, who's not in the tournament this year? UVA.
Is this player on the current team?
He is on the current team.
Yes.
Look
at, like, the
oh yeah.
I want to look at.
What we started doing? We started pulling our evals from these camps. And I think the UVA kid might have been Griffin Schutz, who just got drafted in the PLL.
Yeah, but he went to Streves' camp.
Oh, did he go to New England?
He might hate Streves. He might hate Streves instead.
Maybe he's got it wrong. Yeah, I'll follow up. I'm going to connect you behind the scenes.
It'd be great if he hated Streves.
Yeah.
No one hates Streves.
Send us his name. We'll get his eval. We'll see kind of what our projection was. So we pulled Brendan Laval, the defenseman. We pulled his middle school eval. I was like, if you keep up the hard work and keep it up, you're going to go play like highest level at D1 lacrosse. And it's like, whoever that coach was nailed that one. But I'm sure he had those tools from 8th grade.
I love that you guys have those and can pull those. Yeah. That's amazing. So good for you guys. And I would say you guys probably get it right more than you get it wrong. But we, as a club director and we tell people all the time, like, hey, we make mistakes and we don't get it right. And we do our best to be objective. We do our best to get the best pool of players together. But, sometimes, we don't get it 100% right, but trust our program, trust the process, and we'll help you get to the right spot in the right place. And I know you guys are the same way and do the same thing. And I think if you operate that way, hopefully you're going to help, the long-term development of all these kids, whether they end up being, Division I lacrosse players, Division II, Division III, or they just look back and they said, I had a great experience playing for Coach Boyle and Coach Belisle at camp, and hopefully they say the same thing about us and take some life lessons away.
Well, let's turn back. It's what we're going for. But for the ones that did end up going to that D1 level and are now continuing on for the month of May, let's talk about the path forward for the Buckeyes. Tough matchup. Sure. We came off the top with this tough matchup with Notre Dame. What do you like about Ohio State heading into this one?
I love this team. And I was fortunate enough, Coach Myers brought a bunch of the alumni together to be part of the selection show, to get to go and be there with the team. And we had a graduate from the Ohio State University, 1949, Mr. Shelby.
Whoa. And
I'm telling you, if you listen to this guy speak, guys, I had goosebumps. I was like, I don't want to talk after this guy. He was amazing.
98, 97 years old, right? He must have been.
I mean, he's old. Yeah. He's old. I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell after a certain age, but he's not a young man.
Yeah, well, he graduated. Yeah, wow.
But what he said about this team, and it was so spot on, was he's like, I love watching you guys play. And I love watching you play. Obviously, you're winning. But the way that you guys are playing, and it's genuinely a team, and you see that you guys actually care and support each other, and you're doing things the right way. And that's what I love most about this team. There is a foundation there with this group that, I've talked to a lot of players. There's trust. There's a sense of real brotherhood. And guys, regardless of what their role is on the team, they're going to own it and do it to their best of their ability. And so I would say that's the thing that I love most under Coach Myers' leadership, is just what they've built from a chemistry standpoint, and just how united they are as a team. I love that. Looking at the actual X's and O's, obviously their defense is locked down. Yeah. You got Caleb Fyack in the cage, who's fantastic. The down low D, and then you look at that rope unit, the sled dogs they got. I mean, they can play 60 middies, and all the guys can compete and play tough. And then on offense, there was no Buckeyes drafted last night to the PLL. Boyle, I don't know if you got some.
Ryan makes all suggestions to every coach.
What's that?
A-Train could have picked up one of your guys. That's an A-Train.
What's shops for? A-Train.
All right, fair enough. I'm coming in hot right now, Boyle. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I had too many cups of coffee, so I apologize.
You are like a 3 or 4 cup a day guy.
What did Coach Myers feed you guys at this? Nothing?
I'm sorry.
No, you're great. You're great.
But then we can edit this. Have Andrew edit everything out that I said except for the good stuff.
I'll stay in.
But I think one of the things you look at the offense, obviously you got Marinier, who's a stretch shooter and gets his hands free. But there's so many guys that can score and produce. And I think when you look at the stat lines for each game, guys got a goal here, might not score another 2 games, has another couple goals. And so I think that balance on offense makes them really hard to scout and to stop, where it's not one known entity and one person that you really got to key in on. That's the quarterback, like a Ryan Boyle, that's like, okay, hey, that guy, we know the offense is running through him. What do we need to do to focus on him? So I like their balance. And then the face-off X, you got Oldman, who, man, I don't know if you guys have seen him play or you had a chance to watch him yet, but he's gritty, man. Yeah. And he's great off the ground. He's got a great stick, so he can handle pressure. He's a box player, Canadian, of course, so he's got a great stick. But yeah, I think this team is primed. I think they're ready to go. The draw is the draw. Listen, you got Notre Dame. Here's the good news. You're gonna have to play the top teams, right?
It's always
you have to play them at some point. Like, you have to play them at some point. Might as well knock the back-to-back champs out in the first round.
And get a little bit
of
swagger.
At home. And this is so those tickets sold out 4 minutes.
That's where I'm going next. So I haven't had a chance.
I've watched games.
Right, but we haven't had a chance to be in person. Just new facility. Just describe the scene. I mean, investment from the athletic department, which is so cool to see. What's the scene? What's the scene going to be like there?
It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be unbelievable. Obviously, they're hosting in the new stadium for the first time. The new stadium who's coming out and calling the game, Boyle? Do you know? Is it you?
No, it's not me. I don't know off the top of my head. I was talking to Kark last night about his assignments and Quint's assignments, but I didn't go beyond that.
Will you get me in the mix, man? We got a home game in Columbus, Ohio. You're not getting me on the mic?
You think you could stay impartial in that game?
No, but nobody wants that.
The list of demands, by the way, on this podcast have been get guys drafted, keep going.
All right, sorry, fellas.
But I gotta imagine too, with Notre Dame's proximity, right? As much as you got the OSU fan base, you're getting a lot of Notre Dame fans that are gonna come down for this game, right?
Not even sold out.
Not.
What's that?
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, that's like I think OSU fans realize the proximity, and we're hopefully Johnny on this any tickets as they possibly could. And I hope there's, listen, we've had kids from our program go to Notre Dame. It's a great school. Obviously, I'm wearing my Buckeye hat right now. I hope there's 0 Notre Dame fans in there. I hope there's some clause that like even the parents can't come. Can I say that? Did I just cross a line?
John Arlotta is gonna get like a blimp full of Notre Dame.
Okay, fair enough.
Paul Burmeister, he's definitely going. I think
John Arlotta's a great guy. Let me say that for the record. And he probably did find a way to buy some tickets.
I'm sure he's gonna get.
I think NCAA rules and regulations. I think there's like a certain percentage that have to be allotted, and like if you recall from our time, any game you got a certain amount for your family, right? I mean, we had one player who routinely put in like, this is the most Princeton nerdy thing ever. He would put in like authors.
Yeah, of course he would. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Are you like what genre? Like he was clearly
definitely not contemporary. These are old.
Yeah. There was no contemporary
authors. I probably don't even know. I bet you I don't even know.
I was probably like, who's that guy? So, but yeah, there's definitely going to be. There's going to be some Notre Dame fans. So just be mentally prepared for that. So whatever, maybe beyond the allotment, all OSU from there.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. I hope so. But the stadium is. It's so intimate. It's like you were right on. I think, where the players are and the player benches, it's got to be like 5 to 7 yards before like it's tight and it's awesome.
And everybody stands there. And then the other side, there's boxes, right? Where the side where the field house is, there's almost like.
Yeah. So then they have an alumni section. up top, which is for alumni only, which is it's great for me because you're getting this is one of the things we talk about with Coach Myers and what he's done to really continue to build that alumni base is, you're up there with all the guys that you played with from all different generations, and guys you didn't play with, but guys who wore the scarlet and gray. So it's really special. So imagine if you were Princeton and you got Streves there and Hubbard there. Hey, speaking of that, am I allowed to go on another tangent here?
Sure.
I saw they posted the picture of CJ Kirst next to Hubbard. And did you see Hubbard's headshot in that?
It was not from college. It was when he was
not from college. He's
old.
Working on Wall Street in a suit and tie. And I wanted to stand and be like, Hubbard, what is going on here?
It was Coulter Mackesy when he tied Coulter, not your guy.
No. It was
Coulter. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. It was. Sorry.
He tied Hubby's school record for goals. But yes. So I'm just going to clarify
all
that.
The Ivy Leagues, they just run together in my state school mind.
It's all good. On the broadcast, I think they brought it up explicitly. This is not Jesse Hubbard's college.
This is last year. We took a headshot in the back. Bice, you know what you got to do? Speaking of beautification, okay? That giant field house, that looks like a perfect spot for a Resolute mural or something up there. That's the only knock I have on the TV screen. It looks like it's a big gray wall. They could put an awesome Ohio State mural, get your face up there, get A-Train shirtless, get something real nice up there.
Okay, I am all for it. And let me go on another story here real quick. Sorry, you guys made a mistake of asking me to come on this podcast, and now you guys will appreciate this. So
people don't want to hear from us, Bice. We're giving the people what they want, All
right. So in the locker room, in the film room, the old film room that they had, they're like, hey, we're gonna do fat heads basically of all the pros. And so Anthony was in charge of sending the pictures or whatever for our Resolute guys and our staff and all the guys that are on there. So we walk into the film room for the first time after they have this, and it's me, and it's a 1 foot small fat head, and then it's Tyler Pfister, small fat head, and then Trains is literally 8 feet tall, and he's I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, Train, what? He's like, I didn't do that. I'm like, yeah, you did. Everybody knows you 100%. Made your fat head 8 times bigger than every other guy up here that played pro. And I was like, he claims he didn't do it. It was just, I don't know how that happened. So
simple clerical error happens to the best of us.
Yeah, he carried the one, so.
All right, well, we got Ohio State, Notre Dame. That's Sunday at noon. And then we're not going to look too far ahead, but we will take a look because if you win that game, you head down to Navy. When you win that game, you head down to Navy Marine Corps Stadium to take on the winner of Penn State and Colgate, a potential Big Ten rematch with the Nittany Lions or the 10-man riding Red Raiders. Thoughts on those two programs?
Yeah, I think obviously Ohio State and Penn State played early in the year. Ohio State won. Ohio State's playing great lacrosse right now, and you guys know Coach Myers. He's one game at a time, right? Obviously, they're looking at Notre Dame, and then they'll play whoever they play.
Mitch Belisle from Cornell is not a one game at a time kind of guy.
Not anymore. Not that I don't have to be.
No, hey, you're the 1 seed. Just do whatever you want. It's your world.
Hey, first time we haven't been snubbed in the selection show ever, so we'll take it.
Yes. Well, nice. Congrats. Hopefully that happens to Ohio State sometime in the future because I feel like we get snubbed every year. I need to know who's on.
I've been in that seat.
Is there a bunch of Ivy Leaguers on the committee? Let's be honest.
I have no idea who's on the committee.
No.
The D3 switched over to that NPI, which is just purely numbers based. And that seemed to be a better system, but they've also got 700 teams.
The selection committee followed the math this year. The issue is it's not the 1 through 8.
It's
right.
And I agree with you with some of the head-to-head stuff. But we'll gloss over that. It's the non-seeded. It's the travel. It's the travel geo-based stuff. Yeah. That's that little eye rolly. Really, come on, But
yeah, and I think that's the hard part. You're even if you see the 1 through 8, great, like you said. But what is the purpose? What's the experience you're trying to provide for these athletes and whatever? I mean, that's it's probably.
Let's get back to Mitch's. Look beyond the first round because Cornell doesn't take it one game at a time.
No doubt. Hey, let's talk.
And Penn State. So Penn State you've beaten already.
Yeah. But, you know, it's hard to beat a team twice in the same year. You know that. What's that? You always won?
Wow. Producer Andrew, we're going to have to go back to the archives, see if Ryan never lost to a team twice.
Oh, my gosh. But I mean, you're in the tournament. All these teams are going to be great, right? And obviously, as you advance, you're playing the team that's playing the best, you know, at that time. And so what a great place, you know, U.S. Navy Marine Corps Stadium. What an awesome, we played obviously there a lot with our pro careers, and I played there in college a couple of times. What an amazing stadium. Yeah. And, but yeah, I mean, everything just gets harder with each weekend. You guys know that. And obviously trying to make it to that Final Four. You know, I think the formula, you know, when you look at being able to stack wins at this time of year in the tournament, you need to have a great goalie. You need to win faceoffs, and you can't hurt yourself, you know? And so I think Ohio State's got all three of those. They're well coached. They've got a great faceoff unit and team. They've got great goaltending, great defense. And, you know, I don't think they'll hurt themselves. I don't think they'll put up some goals. So I think they're in a good spot. And, you know, if they play, you know, Colgate's interesting because of that 10-man ride and the way they play. Like I mean, they are 10-7, but they can, it wouldn't surprise me if they're able to find a way to win, or any of these teams, honestly.
Do you want to go beyond that round?
We could take a turn to the Final Four. You're looking at, should you make it to the Final Four, you're looking at playing either Richmond, UNC, Cornell, or the winner of Albany, Siena, the Dirty Dog, the Battle of the Dirty Dogs. UNC, we talked about, that's kind of been a little bit of a thorn in your side over the course of the career. Richmond, that would be a unique one that you probably, I can't imagine the last time that OSU and Richmond have played. It's been a while probably since that's happened.
I don't know if they've ever played now.
And even Cornell, Ohio State really has only been in the playoffs, it seems like.
The media narrative would love Carolina.
Yeah, for sure. Right? Obviously, that's who I played for Coach Bresci.
That's like the narrative. Like, you've got more narratives coming. It's just like,
they play like they did against Duke if they end up matching up.
I'm just saying, like, if Bresci at Carolina plays against his former program, Ohio State, right? Like, that's where everyone just loses their marbles.
Yeah, and Coach Myers, who is, you know, was his protege.
Right. Yeah, I'm just.
So many great storylines. To your point, But I don't know, Mitch. Let's talk about. We're talking about that side of the bracket. Let's talk about Cornell. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty confident. You know, I think Wyatt Nuss in goal when he's on, he's been making. I don't know. I happened to be watching that save where he saved it, ran out to get the rebound. He got tripped and then jumped up and saved it again. That was an awesome, just one of those things where that's just an awesome lacrosse play. You love seeing that. Defensively, they're when they're again, it's like they're hot and cold. They give up these streaks like they did against Princeton, the 4 goals. They went up 4-0 and they tied it up 4-4. And then Princeton went on that 4-goal run after half, but their offense is so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
It's the inverse of Ohio State. It's like they're also really good at facing off, but it's just to get their more possessions, and their D just needs to be good enough, right? It's like
they've shown flashes where they're really good. It's like, can they maintain that consistently throughout the playoffs?
But they want to speed the game up to create as many possessions as possible.
Yeah,
and then it's
their transition is like next level.
Well, then it's just their settle is good. It's just a math problem. It's like if we can just get enough possessions across the board, it's like, our offense is going to score just in a more efficient manner than yours is.
Yeah. That first goal, I think it was the first goal in the game last week against Princeton, was just tic-tac-toe, feed to the crease behind the back goal. I'm like, you just can't cover that. That's when you're passing the ball like that and just know where everyone is. But again, they're gonna have to face some really, really tough defense. Of all the paths, again, not overlooking anyone, but we have the best path to the Final Four if they play like they should be playing. Now, granted, you still got to win those games.
But that's the way it should be, right? You guys are the 1 seed. That's in theory rewarding you guys for having the best regular season, and so that makes sense, And to that Cornell Princeton, man, that was fun to watch. I don't know if there was any defense being played, but
Cornell played defense for about
off and on. It was off and on.
For about 15 minutes. Played defense for about 15 minutes.
Luckily, it was the last 15.
No, that was the difference. They played defense for about 15 minutes.
Didn't that feel like a throwback, like 90, like before Princeton put in their defense, like a early 90s, throwback game, just up and down and guys scoring goals left and right?
Well, I was joking with him. I was like, I can't remember the last game where it was like in the lead stretch, but it wasn't like a back and forth, like one goal, 2 goals. It was like, no. You have to score 4 goals in a row at a minimum. It was like
yes.
It was a 4-goal run, an 8-goal run, a 10-goal run. It's like what happened to trading goals?
You know what's crazy about that too, and you guys understand this as players, like the rule for us kind of is like never let a team get like string together more than 3 in a row. Yeah. Because it's just so deflating. It's like, how do we, you got to fight every inch. But like you said, Ryan, so we'll score 4 here, you score 5 there. Just keep going back and forth. Who cares?
Well, I do think the confidence and like lack of conscience that they play in transition, like I remember the Cuse teams that we would always play having that, where it's just like, if we throw the ball away, that's okay. We're just going to try it 10 more times and we'll score on 9 of them. And like those teams were so dangerous because they had no worries. And that's like Mikey Long and CJ Kirst and Firth, like they're just so confident that the other guys are going to catch it. They'll just whip it across on a skip, and usually they catch it.
That's the thing. They don't turn the ball over.
No, they catch it.
No, they're sharp, man. They are sharp, and obviously Kirst is the real deal, man. He's so good.
Yeah.
And what a great young man too.
Well, you talked about like the brotherhood of Ohio State, and I think to me, how excited they get for each other when they score, like that's where I'm like, yeah, this team has got it, and it's like. They have the best player in the country, and he's just as jacked up for someone else scoring, and it's genuine. And I think that to me is the intangible that could take them over the edge, because every game is going to be a great game in the playoffs. So hopefully they can use that to catapult them over a couple more wins here, and maybe face off against your Buckeyes.
That'd be awesome.
Are you gonna make the trip to Gillette?
And each other, we're in a good spot. Oh yeah, if we go, I'm going.
Love it.
So you'll be there too, won't you?
There's been some talk among the Big Red faithful, but we'll see.
Oh my God, the arrogance on this guy.
If it happens, we'll go.
Will your wife let you go? That's the real question.
And she would come too.
Okay, all right.
She's Cornellian, Big Red.
See, well, I didn't know. I mean, if somebody's got to watch the kids.
If that happened for me, she'd be like, I don't want to go.
She'd be like, yeah, she went to Middlebury. Maybe. Yeah.
All right. That's pretty much the Ivy League. That's pretty much Princeton.
Well, Bice, good luck this weekend. Thanks for coming back on. It's been this is probably like 4 years to the day that you were on when we had the podcast going during COVID. So.
Oh yes. Well, I guess every 4 years is probably all this podcast can take of me. So I appreciate it, and I wonder how they're gonna be that I said Notre Dame parents shouldn't be allowed to go to the game.
We'll get an address for the hate mail. We'll have them send it over.
We'll give them a free sponsorship. We'll make up a fictitious Notre Dame sponsorship.
Do something for them. But genuinely, guys, I appreciate everything you do for the game. Obviously through Trilogy, but also on your own time with calling the PLL games and the NLL games and everything you do. And you guys are doing and you're taking the game to the next level and continuing to spotlight and do things like this that I think continue to help lacrosse grow, and thank you guys.
We appreciate you. Love you guys. Love you, everybody out there. Give everybody our best, and go Buckeyes. Especially if a certain game occurs. Go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes through May 23rd.
You know what? I'll take that. All right, and I'll say go Cornell and go Princeton until the 23rd.
Sounds great. All right, Bice. Thanks, man.
All right, fair enough, fellas.
All right, be well.
Thanks, guys.